Kirk Cousins and the Vikings get to 4-5, third straight victory, Chris Simms.
Way to go.
With a Monday Night Football win over the Chicago Bears.
Are you back on the bandwagon? So is that what are we officially stating that? Like I'm back. Hey, what's up? Me and my son officially are a tandem now, and we're back on the Vikings bandwagon. I know he didn't ditch them. He has a little more loyalty. But I don't know where the hell you lie right now.
I mailed in the annulment papers. There have been so many issues with mail-in items lately. I'm not quite sure where the annulment papers are. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, it's PFT Live Peacock, Sirius XM 211, 9 a.m. Eastern. Hello to future NBCSN audience and also even more future UK and Ireland crowd on Sky Sports NFL and anyone listening on the podcast. The Vikings, I was impressed last night by the fact that the run game, even though Dalvin Cook eventually had 96 yards, it wasn't clicking early, just like last year when they went to Soldier Field.
Right.
And Kirk Cousins, unlike last year, was able to move the chains. He didn't collapse under the weight of the Bears' pass rush, and I think that's credit to the Vikings' offensive line. The offensive line only gets noticed when they play like crap. The offensive line played pretty well last night because I didn't see Khalil Mack in Kirk Cousins' face on a regular basis.
No, and I think the first thing is what you started off with there, the run game, and the fact that they're able to stay patient with it and continue to just go ahead, Dalvin, go ahead, And yeah, it wasn't pretty or anything like that, but it helped them manage the football game, slow down that pass rush you're talking about, and then uses the greatest weapon they have other than Dalvin Cook, which is that bootleg play-action pass game off of their Dalvin Cook runs. And that's where we saw Kirk Cousins make a number of plays last night. Hey, that's tough sledding. Yeah, he was happy last night. Of course he was. Yeah, I'm sure he was very aware that he's 0-9 in Monday Night Football. I mean, he's a smart guy. He understands what's surrounding him as far as the conversations is concerned. And then he's had issues with the Bears, as you've mentioned and as we know. The Bears are a tough matchup for the way the Vikings want to play football. They can stop the run, as we saw last night, and make things hard, which has made things hard on Kirk Cousins because the pass game's not there and all that, and it's not the most creative pass game in the world. So I'm happy for him. I am. It's just another thing to shut people up about. You see how fickle it is, though. I mean, there he was. He was playing pretty good, and there they were down. Adam Thielen drops a pass, and it gets intercepted by Khalil Mack, and you could lose a game because of that play. And then we'd go, Kirk Cousins is 0-10, even though that wasn't his fault and he played well.
That was all on Thielen.
Yes,
that was
a bad one.
That erased the awesome catch that he made for the first touchdown of the night, where he gets it with one arm and flipped it in his hand to better secure it one-handed while he was falling to the ground. It was an unbelievably great catch. That goes away when you don't secure the ball. It pops up in the air, and Khalil Mack, and that was when it was like, okay, that's it. All right, it was.
You
fun
thought it was
while
over
lasted.
right there.
I thought it was over at that point. I thought that was it. That was that. And if the Bears had any semblance of an offense, it would have been over.
Yeah, well, okay. You want to go over there? Let's start talking about that.
Let's put a pin in that for now. Let's stick with the Vikings offense because. As I mentioned, Dalvin Cook ended up with 96 rushing yards on 30 carries, 3.2 average per attempt. He regained the NFL rushing lead, even though he's missed a game and a half due to injury. They were patient. And I think one of the reasons they were patient with it is because of that Bears offense we'll talk about. When the Vikings were struggling early, the Bears weren't able to do anything about it. And then when the Vikings got it going, and then the other moment that I thought it was over was after the Cordell Patterson 104-yard touchdown return to start the second half. I thought, okay, that was it. It was fun while it lasted. But the Vikings didn't get desperate. They stayed patient. They converted some key third downs. They got themselves out of some holes. Justin Jefferson is awesome. He had 8 catches for 135 yards last night. Even though Thielen had the touchdowns, Justin Jefferson is becoming clearly the best rookie receiver.
Definitely.
And moving up the ranks of the best receivers currently in the NFL. I mean, he's become exactly. I mean, look, he still has yet to do the full Stephon Diggs
but he's
body of work.
He's on his way.
He's been a competent replacement. He's a lot better than Troy Williamson replacing Randy Moss in 2005. I'll give him that. He is tremendously better than that, and he's on his way to becoming their top receiver.
Yeah, he's a special player. He can do everything. That's what we see. It's what I loved about him coming out of LSU. And I think the thing that's probably surprised me a little bit more than I even expected is, his explosiveness after the catch. I think that's one thing that's caught me off guard. I knew he could 50-50, run routes, catch the ball over the middle, do those type of things. But where he is special and perfect for this offense, he's got a little ex-quarterback in his blood from high school and his family, and his brother played quarterback at LSU. So he's got great feel for a lot of those bootleg-type plays or to work the middle of the field to be, as they would say, quarterback-friendly. And what people mean when they say that is a guy that understands coverages and how to use his body, to make a catch or create a little space to make it easier for the quarterback to throw it. He's very polished that way. And, the word you used there, the patience, that to me was the key to the game. That could have very easily gotten in the late second, third quarter, it would have gone, you know what, we're just not going to be able to run with Dalvin Cook tonight. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to just drop back and start throwing it. And then I think things would have been an issue. But the fact that Gary Kubiak, Zimmer stayed with that run, knowing that, it only takes one with this guy, and all of a sudden a lackluster night goes into a huge night, and he was close and had some penalties and all that, but still it gives their team the best chance when they stay patient with that run, and it helps their defense, as we know, it's young and growing and getting better right before our eyes.
One thing I have to give Kirk Cousins credit for, too, he didn't have that periodic deer in the headlights, what do I do now demeanor. He never has the look, but you can just tell by his body language that if it doesn't start off the way it was designed, he's very quickly on the edge of just calling it a day, taking a sack, just collapsing in the pocket. We didn't see a lot of that last night. There was one of those rollouts. We we saw rollouts where he had a guy in his face and he still made the throw.
Yes.
I can remember vividly occasions where he's got a guy in his face and it all breaks down. He only got sacked one time on the evening. Again, it's credit to the offensive line, and I feel bad about this because offensive line gets ripped to shreds when a guy gets sacked 9 times. When a guy manages to get sacked only once over the course of an evening and be able to operate the offense, we're praising him. We do need to credit the offensive line. But Cousins, I think, stayed calm. They've done something to calm him down when it's not all coming easily. I think that's what was significant about last night's win for the Vikings. There's no middle ground for that offense. It's either everything works and everything clicks and you're rolling up yards either by running or passing, typically by running, and you have enough to win the game going away. Or you get blown off the field. This grind it out, be patient, keep chopping wood for 3 hours thing, you rarely see them do. Am I wrong?
No, you're not, because, I think what you're saying is usually when their run game works, it just goes, whoa, everything's working. Here we go, the boots, the play actions. Now even the drop-back pass game becomes more dangerous. And you're right, they almost look unstoppable to where you just go, man, he's making decisions, the way they're running the ball, those 2 receivers, the tight ends, and it looks great. But when the run is not there, that's when you and I sit there on a Sunday and go, oh, man, they look crappy. Watch out. Because it's just not an offense. And we heard this when Gary Kubiak, with Peyton Manning, even in the Super Bowl season there with the Denver Broncos. That was the same type of story. When it comes to drop-back pass game, it's just not the most creative stuff in the world. It is predicated on their ability to run the football. And when they don't have that, they really struggle. But Cousins, I think, to your point, too, without the deer in the headlights thing, he's very comfortable in the offense. I think he's very comfortable with this is the way it's going to be this year. It's just not going to be pretty always. So we're going to run the ball. We might have some dull moments, but I'm just going to kind of hang in there because this is the style of football we're going to play. And I think within the comfort of that offense, too, Mike, he's got the answers. He's got answers. Oh, wait, if they blitz, I do this. If they play coverage, I do this. So he's not sitting there patting the ball sometimes like, oh, wait, where am I supposed to go with this one? And he made quick decisions last night, got the ball out of his hands, and didn't make big mistakes. And that's how we've seen Bears upset teams. That's why we saw Mike Zimmer go crazy when they kicked it to Cordell Patterson because he's going, their offense is never going to score on me. they're not going to score. So as long as we don't turn it over and kick it to that guy, we're going to win the football game. And that's where I give Cousins credit. He understands the full scope of what they're trying to accomplish that way.
Yeah, 6 offensive points last night for the Bears, 7 on special teams, much like their last Monday night game where they had 3 offensive points and 7 from their defense. Let's hear from Matt Nagy as we flip it over to the Bears' abysmal offense and the Vikings' impressive defense. It was probably more, though, the Bears' offense than anything else. Here's Nagy on the offensive struggles.
We struggled mightily on offense and having the 4 3-and-outs in the second half. We had field position. We couldn't convert on that in the red zone. And so I just, it overshadows how well I thought our defense played and the different sudden changes that they had, how well our special teams played. I was proud of those guys. So 2 out of the 3 parts right now are playing well. It took a little bit for me to get used to, but then I kind of felt comfortable in that role and was feeling it. Then you get down kind of into that fourth quarter when, it's 19-13 and, we were struggling a little bit with some of those drives. But that just comes down to that trust, right, in this moment and understanding and being able to help as much as possible. And like I said, I did not want to make Bill feel like I was on his shoulder the whole game, and I didn't do that. We just went and played, and so it was different for me certainly.
I'm sorry. At some point, my ass is on the line as the head coach. When it's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out in the second half, I'm saying, hey, Bill, I got it from here. I don't know why Nagy didn't do that. At some point, I think you've got to do that because Nagy, when it's time to go in and meet with the boss, when you may or may not be fired after the season, it's not a feather in your cap that you let Laser go down with the ship on Monday Night Football.
No, it definitely is not. It was not a good look last night. I didn't expect anything special, certainly. But I think it was worse than what I expected. That's for sure. First off, Bill Lazor, he's in a very tough spot. Let's mention that. I mean, it's week 10 in the NFL, and hearing is, take over the plays, right? He doesn't really get to put his imprint on the offense and maybe have things and certain plays that he wants to run that he gets to install or just a certain attitude about the offense that becomes the theme of how he calls plays. So that's really tough. Second of all, why do we expect a lot of different results? The offensive line's still good, not good. They can't run the ball. And Lazor runs the same offense as Matt Nagy. That's my issue with the whole thing anyways. There's no ideas there in Chicago. It's all the same crappy idea getting thrown around to each other with the guys that run the same offense. So, there's nothing there. And then, added on to that last night, what you saw was we saw some different formations and plays and things like that. But certain formations and plays had no answers, especially for the blitz. And we just talked about Kirk Cousins feels comfortable because he has answers. You saw a guy, Nick Foles, last night in certain formations where Mike Zimmer and company blitzed them, and he didn't know what to do, where to go with the ball. Was he supposed to be protected? I don't know, but the offense is all over the place. I mean, it's an embarrassment.
Hey, Chris, if a blitz is coming, now I know sometimes you can't anticipate it because it's disguised.
Yeah.
But the announcers made a great point at one juncture of the second half. Harrison Smith blitzed. There were no hot routes. Everybody was running a deep route. What are you supposed to do if you're Nick Foles?
That's what I mean. And then that's for everybody out there listening and watching or whatever. That's what I mean by answers. There's certain things. I'll just put it in my own terms here. John Gruden, if we got in a certain formation, I had answers for everything. Hey, Chris, if they bring this blitz, I want you to check to this. Hey, if they bring this blitz, we're going to check to that. Hey, if they bring that blitz, this guy's hot, and we're going to get the ball out of the hand here. And then if they do this real crazy defense, I want you to max protect, and we'll block everybody up, and we'll just try to take a one-on-one shot. That, to me, is a repetitive theme I see with the Chicago Bears. Like, they get caught off guard with blitzes and pressure where it's like, well, we didn't even talk about this in meetings. They never blitzed this formation. What do we do? And that, to me, is inexcusable. And, of course, that just leads to horrible offense and really a tough spot for Nick Foles, and I hope he's okay.
Well, and you saw it, and we'll talk about Foles in a second. There's a new report about his injury, and it's not a serious injury, which is good news. Several occasions especially in the second half when it seemed to be rolling in Minnesota's direction with this collection of guys that I recognize the numbers, but I don't know who they are, like 47, but that's not Joey Brown, or 93, that's not John Randall. I don't know who a lot of these guys are, but 10 of them would be up at the line of scrimmage. Anthony Harris, the free safety, would be covering the deep zone all by himself, and you never knew who would blitz and who would drop. And I think that if you put on film enough times, Chris, that you don't have quick answers, that Nick Foles isn't managing that, seeing what's coming and creating an answer for himself, then you just confuse.
Yes.
And that's what happened. Just confuse him, and it all collapses before he can figure out what the hell's going on.
It is total exposing of the protection scheme. And Mike Zimmer realizing they don't know the rules at times, or I can expose their rules and get somebody free every time. And he did that, a lot last night. He didn't always outnumber them with the blitz, but he found ways to go, wait, I'm rushing 5. I know you have 5 or 6 blockers, but I've kind of tricked you over here to where you have to block these guys on the right. Oh, one of them dropped out, and now you have a guy wasted over there, and you're one short on the other side. And he did that, to your point, Mike, like repeatedly last night. The offense is so bad in Chicago right now, I don't know what to say. I really don't. It's as bad as I've seen. When you talk about 3 of their last 4 games, the Vikings, the Titans, the Rams, and I know they got the Saints game in there mixed in, and they made a play or 2 in that game because the Saints played too much man. But, man, other than that, there's nothing. And I don't think it's going to improve because of what they have there in the coaching staff and, of course, the players they have as well to go with it.
And I think one reason why Matt Nagy didn't take the reins during the game, this is an argument that it's not me. It's not me, right? It's not me calling the plays. It may be my offense. It may be my team that stinks. But the problem isn't me calling the plays. Mike Zimmer has to be happy with how his defense has been performing in recent weeks after an abysmal start to the season. Here he is after last night's victory.
They're starting to mature a little bit, and then, obviously they're getting a little bit of confidence now. I think it's been 3 games here, last 3 games that we've had, other teams had the ball with a chance to win the game, and, we've been able to put the fire out, I guess. And so, the more times you do that, the more times that you believe that you can do it. And then secondly, I think they're starting to understand what we're trying to do conceptually with the calls and things like that as well.
Late in the game, it felt like the Vikings were still trying to blow it, and they had that 4th and 5 with, like a minute or so left. They were able to bleed the clock. Do you go for it there? Do you kick the long field goal and risk the block that gets returned for the touchdown and you lose 20-19 with the extra point, or do you punt? It's a no-brainer. You punt because you're suffocating the Chicago offense. And on that first play where it was almost an interception, as Nick Foles did everything he could to get rid of the ball before he went down hard, Chris, and he was carted off. NFL media is reporting no fracture in the hip. The hip is what they're focused on. It wasn't clear, was it the shoulder, was it the back, what did he hurt? But he was clearly in agony, and so far, so good for the diagnostic evaluations of Nick Foles. But then they put Tyler Bray in. I didn't know Tyler Bray was still in the league.
Yeah, I know.
Frankly.
Right.
And I don't think he did either based upon how he played when he came in. I don't know what you can expect from a guy who all of a sudden it's off with the mask and on with the helmet after you're getting ready to just, walk into the locker room and call it another night as
your
the
butt
third-string
for 4
quarterback.
hours.
Yeah. So I guess it would have been fitting if he'd have found a way to crank up the offense, but that wasn't happening. And now we'll have to see when Foles will be able to come back. Mitchell Trubisky's got a shoulder injury. He's out.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they go with Tyler Bray this weekend, but who else do you have? What else can you do?
That's right. They might have to. Tyler Bray was in Kansas City with Matt Nagy before this, so he does have good understanding of the offense. He's got talent, too. I watched him down at the University of Tennessee.
He knows the worst offense in football extremely well.
Yeah,
he's got that going for him.
He does.
Nice.
He's got that going for him. He does. So, at least he'll know those type of things. But, yeah, listen, I don't give him much of a fighting chance, certainly. I don't care how good you are. It doesn't matter. it just doesn't matter. It's another great example. Hey, Nick Foles he's solid quarterback, but when you have zero run, when you have, maybe the worst offensive line in football, the worst running attack in football, really not a starting running back on your roster, then what do you expect to go along with really boring, non-innovative ideas in the pass game? I just don't care who you are. I mean, you could throw Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes in Chicago. It ain't going to look much different. It's not. I mean, yeah, maybe they make a play here and there, but that's a tough one. And, I think the thing that's bad about it, too, is, Nick Foles, hey, there's the first play of the game. He's trying to be aggressive. Let's go. Let's start. Let's get this thing going on offense. And he misses a big throw, early on to put his team in a hole right away. Hey, defense, try to save me right away. That was an issue, certainly, to get them off to start that way. And I'll say the other thing that didn't, help the offense necessarily, the kick return. When you have that, that's a great thing, but that's one less time on the field, and now the other team gets on the field and all that. So they have so many issues. It's not going to get fixed there in Chicago. The offense needs to just get the hell out of the way, try to kick a few field goals every game, and let the defense win it.
The good news is they don't need a quarterback this weekend because they have their bye, right. One of the later buys. The bad news is they're going to Lambeau Field Sunday Night Football, Thanksgiving weekend, and whoever it is, whatever they do, they better come up with something better. The Packers have been sluggish in their home games early on, so maybe the Bears have an opportunity to jump out early, but no one's going to expect. This is going to be another one of those nights, Chris, on Football Night in America. It's going to be G's across the board. Tirico's going to take the Bears, and the Bears are going to win. That's probably what's coming in 12 days. The Vikings, though, 4-5, and 3 wins in a row, and 3 home games coming up. Boy, in a normal year, that would be 3 automatic wins if you had fans in the stands. No fans in Minnesota for the balance of the season. Cowboys, Panthers, Jaguars are the next 3. 6 combined wins for the next 3 teams. And look, it's not like they're going to blow people out, but just chip away, and then the next game after that is a trip to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and company. But the Vikings could be 7-5 going into that game and very much alive in the chase for the 7th seed in the NFC. So it's amazing how they've turned it around.
It is.
And look, they had the Titans beaten and blew it. They had the Seahawks beaten and blew it. You just flip one of those, and you're 5-4,
right?
And it's a different world as you hit the home stretch of the season. But we talked about the Patriots being in this every week as a playoff game mode. The Vikings are in this every week as a playoff game mode, and you're building confidence. And if that's how you ultimately get your ticket to the party in January, you're so much better served. You can't engineer that. You can't force it. It either happens or it doesn't, and you hate to have to live dangerously to get there, but that's what they have to do. And if they do make it to Week 17, and when the dust settles, they have a spot in the postseason field, they will be better off than if they had it easy the whole season because they've been battle-tested week in and week out to get there. One more thing about the Bears offense.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed late in the game, I almost feel like they decided Cordero Patterson is the only one who seems to have any ability and or give a crap. Let's just keep giving it to him. Did you notice that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he's one of the few guys. Their schemes can't get anybody open. They can't do it. And there's 2 guys in their offense that can do something without the scheme. Allen Robinson can win some one-on-ones, and he can win a jump ball if they can throw the ball accurately to him that way. And then Cordero Patterson can make people miss and outrun people. And I think they just look at that as, hey, he's our best weapon. Let's get the ball in his hands somehow, some way. But it just shows you, they got issues all across that roster, and they don't even know how to use. Their receiving core is not that bad. Listen, I think a lot of teams and quarterbacks in football, I could name a few, but go, man, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, Mooney, that tight end, I'll trade you. But it doesn't matter. The offense has no idea how to utilize these guys and get them open and make it quarterback friendly or anything like that. And that's the frustrating thing about the Bears offense on a weekly basis.
And I don't see it getting any better. No. And every year we see, just like we see a team get hot and win and win and win and win when their back's against the wall, there's a team that starts off great and it just disintegrates. 5-1 to 5-5, and they have 12 days to figure out how to try to get a victory, to try to break that 4-game losing streak when they face the Green Bay Packers.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.